There is a metaphor that is often stated by unpoetic individuals, going along the lines of, shoot for the moon, but if you miss, you'll land among the stars. Such a statement is meant to represent the idea that even if one is not successful in their endeavors, the tools and knowledge one gains may assist them in something considerably more exciting. However, such a statement also implies that one is actually performing the correct tasks to get to their successful position. One could be trying to build a rocket, but accidentally end up building a drill instead. I have seen many people shoot from the stars, but instead end up shooting themselves in the foot, becoming a jester to all they were trying to impress, aka me. Recently, I had been playing through my long collection of games I otherwise never play because my time is precious, and one of them was Destruction Allstars. Playing this game is, objectively, a physical manifestation of shooting for the moon but drilling to hell instead. Destruction Allstars is a well-made game. It is graphically very pleasant. The way the light shines on the arenas, the detailed damage inflicted upon the cars, as well as the car designs themselves. It is clear it was not effortlessly shot out upon the earth like Daytona USA on the Sega Saturn. The cracks start to show when you play it though. Destruction All-Stars is a car combat game. Specifically, it is a demolition derby car combat game. Thus, the quality of crashes is critical to the conception of the car combat, just like the quality of my channel is reliant on you, the wonderful viewer, subscribing to my channel. Go do that now. However, unlike the high quality of content of my channel, Destruction All-Stars does not have high quality crashes. Wimpy sounds accommodate these contactful moments, which also for some reason play through the speakers of my PlayStation controller. What's more, this is a very fast demolition derby game. All the cars move very rapidly, which is antithetical to a game style that requires one to contact other cars very hard to win. Gameplay thus devolves into driving around rather innocuous environments as opponents zoom around and cannot get hit, just so you can hit the wall or get hit too much and then get thrown out of your car, because I forgot to mention, on-foot segments are a thing, and they are absolutely dreadful. Never have I seen such a purposeless feature in a car game. Unless one is wrecked, or one wants to get to their hero car, getting out of the car is lame. I want to drive the car, not do goober mode parkour to pick up little gems so one can drive around the actual cool hero cars, which needs to be earned for whatever reason. And then when one gets into this hero car, they all drive the same. They all have one power-up, which just seems to make them go faster, or something. I've also stated that while this game is graphically competent and well made, it's odd that this game has no visual staying power in the mind. A clean, sanitized look. The game's thematics are also structured in a way that everything is performed in good sportsmanship and happiness. Joyous emotions, as an opponent ejects you from an exploded car and then you get plowed over. I am not opposed to the human emotion of joy, but it is a rather unusual vibe to be had in a game genre where one needs to play angry to eviscerate your opponent's car. It is clear that this game was designed to be an esport live service. Skins for the cars and characters, gameplay arenas that give no potential locational advantage. All characters play virtually the same aside from minor differences in hero cars, potentially. What results is a car combat game without vibe, without flavor, designed to make Sony a family-friendly live service. Worked out for them rather well. This is a high-quality vanilla ice cream when everyone wanted chocolate. A drill when everyone wanted a rocket to the moon. Extreme care and precision used to make not what anyone wanted. Destruction All-Stars flopped simply because it exists in a chair that used to sit someone more beloved. If one were to tell you that a PlayStation exclusive first-party car combat game was arriving with the launch of the PS5, well, Full Auto is maybe the third one you would think of. The second one being something much more sinister. But the first one would be Twisted Metal. The edgy, gruesome, yet slightly humorous car combat series that had basically been the staple of the PlayStation console since its inception. I certainly understand the creative desire to make one's own IP, but Twisted Metal was right there, waiting, with eager fans all around. And they instead made Baghead Man instead. It is certainly not that Twisted Metal was a game blinded by nostalgia either. I played through the PS3 game after attempting to play Destruction All-Stars, and my neuron activation was incredibly high throughout the former versus the latter, which was base-level stimulation. In fact, over a decade later, Twisted Metal on the PlayStation 3 is a way better game than Destruction All-Stars. And an even greater fact, I played many other weaponized car combat titles, and Twisted Metal most likely is better than literally every other weapon-based car combat game ever made. Where Destruction All-Stars struggles to find an aesthetic identity and or vibe, Twisted Metal has no such issues. It is edgy, bleeding edge, corny edge, so much edge that it is about to be banned in the UK for having too sharp of an edge. Teenage boys and teenage boy adjacent must think that this game looks sick as hell and not a phase, Mom. The main character, Sweet Tooth the Clown, is a terrible person. He's a serial killer. He is forever seeking the next kill, particularly some woman who escaped his clutches. However, since he is wearing a clown mask and speaks as though he is on a Halloween set, he takes on the role of a movie slasher villain, where, he's a bad guy, but he sure is cool. You'd almost want to dress up as him for Halloween. In fact, Halloween Funhouse is the best way to describe the mood of Twisted Metal. All of them, really. A walkthrough of your local Kmart turned Spirit Halloween is not too dissimilar from a round of Twisted Metal. The overdramatic voiceovers, the green screen cutscenes, opponents dressed up in corny costumes. Certainly, it appeals to the ever-dwindling teenage portion of my brain. Any screenshot of Twisted Metal would cause one to look at it and, after extensive pattern recognition, one could say, that's Twisted Metal. Quite unlike Destruction All-Stars, where one would say, Fortnite graphics mod. What's more, Twisted Metal also nails the exact points I am trying to make, in that there needs to be more diversity in storytelling and gameplay with car games. While Twisted Metal is a car combat game, driving skill is not actually needed to enjoy it. One can pick a car and crash all they want, for the actual game is more or less a big round of Halo, but with gasoline engines traveling at a much higher speed. Excellent stuff. The gameplay itself is also highly diverse, for game modes are not always just a big death arena. A plethora of intriguing game types are available to muck around in, all of which often offer greater pleasure to partake in than approximately 72 games of League of Legends could ever produce. Performing a big U-turn, back to the story, at the end of each story arc are a huge boss battle, but the boss battles are actually really fucking sick. They aren't just a really big enemy to fight. No, they are huge set-piece moments that stretch what is possible to be achieved in car-based gameplay. A big monster truck battle. In fact, a battle against 2 monster trucks. An aerial battle against a giant-ass marionette mech that is actually agonizing but fun to play at the same time. Or even a huge mechanical homunculus doubling as a Rube Goldberg machine of driving traps, ending a huge helicopter boss fight to top it off. Sick shit. This is what I want to see in a game of this style. Cornball, evil villains, huge set pieces, and intricate gameplay. Diversity in what is performed while driving the whip. I love this game. It is also the first Twisted Metal game I have ever played, and it certainly won't be the last. Although it may be the last game in the series produced for quite a while. I could gush for ages about how much I now love Twisted Metal, and how much I kinda already forgot about Destruction All-Stars. But I find it slightly depressing that the failure of the latter game has likely spelled yet another delay in big-budget car combat games. Bean counters and other biological cogs in this terrible machine we call the modern-day economy may just see that people do not care about car combat, weaponized or not, and instead there must be more money placed into another fucking Horizon Zero Dawn game. Money is what makes the world go round, for better or worse, even if the game itself is better or worse. Just look at the terrible fate that befell my favorite car combat racing game of all time, Split Second. Split Second is a flawless game. It is perfect. A circuit-based car combat game, but instead of just shooting little guns or crashing into cars, the environment is one's weapon. All the tracks in the game have a variety of colorful and tricksy traps to engage that may trap one's opponent in a fiery ball. Called power plays, these actions can only be activated by the player after they fill up a bar via a drift or draft, meaning speed is still key, for this is a racing game after all. It may seem simplistic at first glance, but should the player use more than 1% of their measly rotten brain to play, one can fully comprehend Split Second. Strategy is involved in deciding which power plays to activate. Does one pick the humble high explosive device, or the even more humble blow the whole fucking track up to change the race course in its entirety option? Many big thoughts occur. In honesty, though, power plays must be timed. One could act like a monkey and spam them as soon as they appear, but then the trap could miss your opponent. Proper timing is needed to maximize each use of the bar resource. This means one must not only ponder the best line, but also ponder the best killing machine to be used against your opponents. Very good gameplay. Family friendly. Thank you, Disney. The gameplay is also one that could easily trigger the anti-woke crowd, since it is highly diverse. Aside from a normal explosive race or elimination races, there is also goofy red barrel avoidance game mode, or avoid the Call of Duty kill streak game mode, or shit blows up around you as a time trial is performed game mode, or fuck it, everything blows up at once game mode. A fair amount of ways to experiment in the spectacle of the tracks blowing up. Amazing game. Split Second is a title that was not given a fair chance. The studio who made it were canned before the sequel could ever be made. Not because it was bad, no, but because no one bought it. If the democratic market is what is to be a deciding factor on what gets to live, whether it be organic or inorganic, then certainly the system must be changed. Money should be banned. Split Second should have lived. What other games could people have been possibly buying in May of 2010? Oh yeah, Red Dead Redemption. I often repeat this ad nauseum in any video I talk about Carmageddon, but once again, it's true. When Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, racing games became niche and only for car nerds. Beforehand, one of the only ways to explore open 3D worlds on console that truly felt large were through cars, such as Driver, Midtown Madness, or the original Midnight Club. Sure, there were on-foot console games taking place on big environments, such as Mario 64 or Metal Gear Solid, but all of those worlds were mainly broken up by long-ass loading screens. The aforementioned racing or driving games had a big world, no loading screens, unless you decided to explore an entirely new city. However, once Grand Theft Auto had the ability to get out of the car and on foot, well, to the average person, why buy a car-only game when one could get out on foot as well and explore a seemingly even larger world? If you think I'm just lying or making shit up, take it straight from the equestrian mouth. Twisted Metal Harbor City is a cancelled PS2 game. It was to be an open-world title, initially only in the War Death Machine vehicles. However, according to one of the designers, as stated on his blog, a week after it went into its alpha state, it was cancelled because unspecified executives believed that, quote, in a post-GTA world, a game without on-foot presence would never be profitable. Why make an open-world car combat game when the sandbox of GTA could theoretically offer more free-form destruction and storytelling? An unfortunate fact one must certainly take, a big pill of unfortunateness. It makes all the more sense why Blur, which is a game that was released a week after Red Dead, also failed, if for a slightly different reason than the failure of the free market. I've spoken about Blur before, in this past video, I think, and my opinions are of the mostly unchanged variety. I feel like the complexity of the game is lacking more so compared to a Split Second, and the game forgoes some of the Mario Kart fun, for it is obviously trying to be a more mature version of Mario Kart. This is a game attempting to appeal to car people who may want to play Mario Kart, but I think car people also play Mario Kart, and it's still pretty fun, and people who also aren't into cars enjoy Mario Kart. It's a good game. Mario Kart's fun. Blur is mostly fun, in spurts. The main car combat mode with the power-ups is a blast, especially when there are multiple cars all alongside each other firing off weapons. Awesome. Quite unlike the other game modes, which is either a tedious driving sniper game mode I hate, or a vanilla time trial, unlike the sick-ass Michael Bay time trial in Split Second. Monkey Brain enjoys the fire. Blur is fine. Split Second is better. All are better than the plethora of other random lower-budget car combat games that came out in this period, within the twilight hours of the genre. Blood Drive is, existent. Both full auto games are mid, in the purest definition of the term, and Vigilante 8 Arcade is a very unfortunate game. You can't play that one anymore, though. It was an XBLA exclusive, which is now shut down. But you weren't missing much. In fact, you weren't missing much even with the original Vigilante 8. I found the original game from some yard sale or the like. It was not even my intent to seek it out for my collection. But upon playing it, I am thankful I did not waste the effort in trying to do so, for this game has not aged well. No, I am not saying that it has aged poorly because it looks old. Get that forum nerd mindset out of here. Vigilante 8 has not aged well because it's just not good. The game plays tediously. Enemies have tremendous health, and it never feels like anything works. Car combat is just, for the most part, spamming area of effect missiles. The boss fights within the single player are all viscerally unpleasant and designed to waste your time. And this one enemy, this fucker with the pickup with the bed topper, he has a special weapon that is just bees, which stun lock your car all the fucking time. The environments are big and mildly charming to drive through, but to be honest, I was not feeling this game at all. If I were a child in the 1990s and played this, I bet I would have incredibly fond memories with this game, and I would be rushing to defend my perceived enjoyment of literally anything as a child into the idea that it must have actually been good. It's okay, I do the same thing with Autobahn Polizei. However, if one were to come to the conclusion that they wanted to play a car combat game, and they decided to play this, they would think the entire genre was lame. To be honest, the more I think and ponder, which is something I already do too much of, I could not actually think of any weapon-based car combat game that was successful aside from Twisted Metal. Sure, there were good ones, Blur and Split Second, but they bombed, flopped financially. No one played them, so they were dead. Many of the so-called successful car combat games of the 90s stayed in the 90s, or had some revival that petered out like a wind reminding you of a faint memory. Carmageddon, this is a good example. Hot shit in the 90s. Had a non-proverbial car accident of a third game that killed it. Until the revival game came out, which I really liked for its casual, fuck-around type of vibe. I ranted about my love of it in my bad handling in car games video. However, it seems I was the only one with the correct opinion, because no one bought it. Such a statement, par for the course with most of these types of car combat games. It is either horrifically forgettable, or good, but horrifically bombed for an esoteric reason. Weaponized car combat is, in my objectively subjective opinion, a niche sector of the now niche car genre. A genre that has been successfully filled by GTA Online public lobbies, or the mega shitty actual GTA car combat mode. Contrast this attitude I am holding with normal car crashing combat games. Well, then I can rattle off some mega bangers. Flat Out, Burnout, Eva Destruction, Forza Online Lobby, or Wreckfest. Many good games with the pure intent of crashing the car, aside for Destruction Allstars. But giving guns to the car? Nah. Grand Theft Auto fills that role, or at least until the Oppressor Mark II was released, like an invasive species to a diseased island, even more uninhabitable. There is most certainly a game involving cars with guns I didn't mention that any viewer would be wishing I brought up, but alas, it's most certainly niche and I haven't heard of it. Please tell me now. And yes, I've heard of Fumes, I'm very excited. Cross out is the definition of the Antichrist, however. I also loathe the ending of the Mad Max game, don't bring that shit up to me again. Twisted Metal is fun. It has a vibe and difficulty and gameplay style, oh yeah, everything I like. Out of every game I mentioned here, or forgot to mention, it was either a one-off or had a desperate sequel, never to achieve high levels of success in the public consciousness. Are they fun? Why yes, many of them are fun. Hot Wheels Velocity X is fun, in the same way Carmageddon or Blur or whatever is fun, but none grip the player with its presentation, as Twisted Metal does. It's a shame its potential PS5 sequel was cancelled. Or maybe not. It was probably going to be a live service game. In fact, it actually had the potential to have players get out of the car. Hell encroaches ever closer to the general public's doorstep, and yet for some reason many are still apathetic for what is outside their field of vision. Too busy grinding the battle pass or some shit, thinking it's all fine and they are escaping from the politics of the world when they weren't even paying attention in the first place. Are games a product or are they art? I used to say all games are art, but in retrospect, playing Destruction All-Stars has changed that opinion. It certainly has artful elements, there was effort placed into it, I said that earlier, but was there a desire for this game to exist? Art is supposed to have a passionate vibe, a need for it to be seen by all, something I'm just not feeling here, even compared to everything else discussed. Was it designed with a level of personal reflection, such as how Twisted Metal was inspired by David Jaffe having a mild internal road rage on the highway, wishing one could just blast all the cars away ahead of them? Or was it designed simply to have a family-friendly, money-making venture? Could one game have so much effort, yet be so meaningless, so vapid in what it sets out to do, the hope that its high-quality vanilla nature would attract people who have plain tastes and boring pursuit on their lack of hobbies? I don't even have the desire to find an answer, because it wouldn't change my opinion on the game, or really any of what amounts to corporate art in video game form. Twisted Metal feels special in some way, even I feel it, and never even owned a PlayStation until I was in college a few years ago. Why the decision was made, who is to say? No one cared enough about Destruction All-Stars to even find an answer for its existence, for it does not even attempt to justify its own. That is art without purpose. Art which serves no one is what builds a drill to get to the moon. I can only imagine what a Twisted Metal with this level of detail and budget could have produced. I can imagine many other games spoken throughout this essay wish they were in a position similar to Destruction All-Stars, being in the limelight on a new console. That type of exposure may have had Blur or Split Second survive longer than they did, which was a premature death in case you just skipped to the end. Will we ever see another AAA, non-indie weaponized car combat game that does everything? Who knows? All I know is GTA Online will perpetually be digital herpes, and people who don't even play car combat games will keep wishing they were back. Subscribe.